Hello, and welcome to today's Training Industry webinar, Enabling Performance Through Learning and Reinforcement, sponsored by MPS Interactive Systems. I'm Amanda Longo, and I will be hosting you for today's event. Before we get started, I'd like to familiarize you with our platform and go over a couple of housekeeping items. Of course, throughout today's event, please feel free to chat with us in the chat window, or pop open the Q&A window to submit questions to our speakers. We'll have an official Q&A section at the end of our program. Of course, we always encourage you to share the information you receive with your colleagues and network via social media. Please follow at MPS Interactive and hashtag TI Webinars so we're able to track your contribution to the conversation online. When our program ends, you'll notice that a short evaluation survey has popped up in a new tab of your browser, and we would greatly welcome your feedback about today's content, speakers, or topics you might want to see us cover here in the future. As always, today's program will be recorded and archived on trainingindustry.com, and you will receive a follow-up email from us that will include a link to the on-demand program for you to share with your team. If this is your first event with us, a very special welcome goes out to you. At Training Industry, we offer dozens of programs every year on all sorts of topics relevant to learning leaders just like you. If this is your first time with us, welcome. It's great to have you here. I know today's program is one that you'll enjoy, as our speakers will discuss the transition from learning to performance enablement for Frito-Lay's over 20,000 frontline employees. It's going to be awesome, right? All right, so to get us started, let me introduce you to today's speakers. Kathy Burnett is a learning and development leader with Frito-Lay, a division of PepsiCo. She is proud to have spent the last 22 years in many roles, progressing from frontline sales to leading innovative capability agendas for Frito-Lay associates. Her experience allows her to connect and coach real people doing real jobs. She collaborates with sales associates and leaders to create meaningful, relatable content relevant to their roles. Kathy lives on a Centennial farm outside of Denver and with her husband Jeff and their dog Jack. Blaine is a learning and development leader with Frito-Lay. He has spent the last 6 years building capability, supporting both global learning initiatives with PepsiCo University, as well as US-based Frito-Lay learning initiatives for sales. He currently collaborates across Frito-Lay to develop learning solutions for new leaders and associates that are learner-centered and future-ready. Blaine lives in North Texas with his wife and 3 children. Andra has been leading learning, consulting, and learning experiences design for a number of years at MPS Interactive Systems. She collaborates with customers to address strategic business goals while focusing on creating meaningful and impactful learning experiences. She has designed learning programs that drive tangible business outcomes, increase learner engagement, and have helped clients win a number of Brandon Hall Awards. I know this team has a really, really cool presentation today, so without any further ado, the stage is yours, guys.
Thank you, Amanda. Well, I'm going to kick things off here. Just want to say good afternoon and welcome everyone to our Everyday Selling presentation. I am really excited to share this program with you all today and explain how Everyday Selling has kind of progressed over the last 3 years. But first, I want to tell you how fun this project is. Of all of the work that I've done, this is one of the most fun projects I've had the opportunity to participate in. I get energized every time we create a new video or a storyline, or especially when I hear someone out in the field talking about one of our characters. So over the session today, I hope you're all going to get a chance to know our characters a little better as well. Right here on the picture, you see Willa, one of our manager figures, front and center, and she's surrounded by some of our other folks, Chris, Diane, Carlos, and some others. So we're going to talk to you a little bit more about Everyday Selling now. Today, what we want to do is we want to walk you through the progression of the program, along with our vision for 2021. But first, I want to share a few reasons why we feel this program has been so successful. So first of all, it has achieved the business objectives for which it was created. It continues to gain executive support and pull from the organization. It's also won 4 Brandon Hall Awards, and 2 of those are gold. That's so far. And most importantly, our target audience loves this program. The program was really created for 2 different target audience groups. The first group is our route sales reps, or what we call RSRs for short. These are the people who make it happen every day. If you've ever wondered how all of those Frito-Lay products got on the shelves of your favorite stores, now you know. They're the ones who made it happen, one bag at a time, we say. It's a really busy, fast-paced job, and we needed to have sales training that was simple, turnkey, and didn't feel like we were giving them one more thing to do to add to their busy day. So the goal of everyday selling for RSRs was turning everyday conversations that they might already be having with their customers and their store managers into selling moments. The second audience group was the managers of our RSRs. We'll refer to them today as frontline leaders, or you might hear us say district sales leader or DSL. I just got to warn you that we love our acronyms here at Frito-Lay, and some of them may sneak out here or there. If we say something you don't understand, please feel free to pop up a chat and we'll clarify. So our frontline managers, they also have really busy schedules. So think of this, they're on the go, they spend a ton of time working with their teams, building relationships, selling to our customers out in the market. And so the goal of everyday selling for frontline leaders was to help them make selling part of their everyday. The business objective was really twofold. So as Amanda mentioned at the start, our initial goal was to upskill close to 20,000 of these RSRs with the skills that they would need to turn those everyday conversations into selling moments. And then secondly, upscaling the frontline leaders to better support and coach those RSRs and build their own selling skills at the same time. It's really had an interesting trajectory over the last few years, and I'm going to turn it over to Antra now and let her walk you through some of the details.
Thanks, Kathy. And hi, everyone. Thanks for being here with us. Let's begin by taking a quick sneak peek into the busy lives of our RSRs.
Hi, Diane. How's it going?
Hey, Ronnie. I'm tired and frustrated. I started really early this morning and had a long day. On top of that, my sales are down. I don't know what to do. I talk to my customers almost every day about things like, can I bring in the Tostitos for the end cap change? Or where do you want me to put the shipper display? Who has time to sell? And even if I did, I'm not really sure how to go about it.
I hear you, Diane.
So starting with those insights about our target audience and the objectives that Kathy just mentioned a little bit earlier, we had our work cut out for us. In 2018, we set out to create a foundation for everyday selling, and the focus was mainly on the RSR group. Then in 2019, we focused on reinforcing this RSR training and introduced everyday selling for the manager group. This year, that is in 2020, our focus has been on performance support and embedding key principles into the workflow. We are also finding that other sectors are adapting this program for their teams because it has been so successful. Next year, we plan to capitalize on everyday selling brand by offering advanced training for existing managers and onboarding training for new managers. Throughout the evolution of this program, we've been consciously using strategies to embed everyday selling, not only into the everyday work of frontline employees, but also into the Frito-Lay culture. So before we dive into how we did this and what worked, we just wanted to learn a little bit from you. So Amanda, if you could just pull up the poll. And what we'd like to know from you is which of these learning strategies you use most often.
All right, everyone, this is your one and only poll during this session, so make sure you participate and can sound off. Which of these learning strategies do you use most often? Foundational training, reinforcement, learning in the workforce, or performance support? I'm going to give you a few more moments to make your selection. I see about 60% of our audience has voted. Want to allow a few more of you to get your answers in there. So which one do you use most often? I think our participation is about what it's going to be. So let's see what they said. Here we go.
So we have foundational training at 53%, learning in the workflow at 28%. Reinforcement and performance support are both at about close to 10%. And it's interesting. It's very in line with what we were expecting. In fact, I was expecting a more either performance support or reinforcement, not as much of learning in the workflow. Blaine, Kathy, what do you think?
I agree, Antra. The learning in the workflow is something that's rather new for us, and it's been a bit of a challenge. So I'm surprised to see as many folks, and I'm anxious to hear some of the things that they've done as well.
I agree. You know, I think we definitely we all get from there from a foundational perspective. So love as we get later into the chat to hear what you guys are doing.
Awesome. I'm happily surprised. So moving on, we'll now dive into what we did for 2018 to build the foundational training. This was our very first year of the program, and our design strategy was to build excitement, to deliver the core concepts, and to support performance on the job. So although we've been saying conceptual learning for 2018, in the design itself, as you will see, we have accounted for a healthy dose of performance support with the application videos, with workbooks and job aids. To create excitement for this program, the launch of the program, senior leaders speak about the program and their selling experience. We also created a 1-minute teaser to provide our target audience a glimpse into the training. So here you see screenshots from both. In fact, there's a video of the teaser as well. Before we watch that, I'd just like to mention that the senior leader videos really helped us demonstrate executive sponsorship for the program. And we all know how what a great way that goes in how the program is perceived by the end users. Senior leaders here were truly engaged and shared their personal experiences from their early selling days, and that really worked great. One of the leaders said something like, "You have to live to sell another day. You're not going to win every sale." And we incorporated tidbits like that into our videos, and it was very well received. The teaser as well was so on point, and it truly generated the excitement that we were hoping that it would. So let's watch a quick snippet of the teaser video you saw a little bit earlier.
I hear you, Diane.
Sorry about that. I guess it's just taking a little.
I hear you, Diane. But you know what? I just heard that there's going to be some new selling videos. These short videos will focus on the basics of selling, helping you to beat plan, engage with the customer, delight the consumer, and much more. I think these videos will help us in turning those everyday conversations into selling moments.
That sounds great. Where can I watch them?
We can watch them at the district meeting, or if you miss one, you can watch it on your own.
Thanks, Ronnie. I can't wait to watch these videos and turn my everyday conversations into selling moments.
The aim of these training programs was to level set everyone to a minimal standard of foundational knowledge. So in terms of content, we created 4 videos of 15 minutes each on the topics that you see on the screen. These modules are now called as the core modules, and although they were created for the RSR group, anyone new to the company now completes these modules as part of their onboarding. While creating the content, our focus was mainly to communicate that selling was not scary or intimidating. We connected concepts to everyday activities like getting to know the customer, discovering what the customer needed, and using all of that, all those conversations they were already having into selling moments. So here's an example of one of our 2018 modules. You'll notice that wherever possible, we simplified concepts by using acronyms to make the content stick. In this video, you'll also see Villa, who is one of our most loved characters in the series. She has become the perfect role model for the managers.
Approaching customers with solutions is one of our focus areas today. Let me break it down into 3 simple steps for you. Step 1, find your in. This is your everyday conversation or your reason for connecting with the customer. Step 2, uncover the priorities, meaning discover your customer's priorities, what's important to them, what opportunities exist. Step 3, name a solution, solutions that link to the customer's priorities.
Hey, that stands for fun.
Well, selling is fun.
In addition to the core modules, we created application videos to demonstrate how to use the concepts. These were really quick 2 to 3 minute videos meant to be used in the field. While creating the videos, we sought input from multiple SMEs across the business to make these examples realistic and impactful. Here's an example of an application video. I hope that you're noticing how detailed and wonderful the backgrounds in each of these videos are. These store backgrounds were all custom created. Even the products on the shelves were created using actual photographs provided by the SMEs as references. So let's watch this application video. Oops. Amanda, can you just make sure the video?
Do you remember the 3 steps to follow when approaching your customer?
Of course I remember fun. Find your in, uncover priorities, name a solution. Hi Wanda, how are you? I'd like to tell you about our new prepackaged weekender program. Let's turn this everyday conversation into a selling moment.
In addition to the application videos, we provided performance support tools and job aids. These were accessible through a digital workbook that came in handy if someone wanted a quick look at the concepts or was struggling with how to apply a concept in the nick of time. Although completion of these core modules was not our measuring criteria, we were delighted to see that 95% of our target audience actually completed these modules. Given that our target audience size was 20,000 people, this seemed like a great achievement. The videos were not required to be taken in any sequence and could be accessed on a mobile device or shown in team meetings. Even the performance support tools were being used in the field. What we were really happy about was seeing that people in the field were actually talking about the training, and they had started using the acronyms like FUN that they learned about in the program. Another surprising outcome of this 2018 training was that although it was targeted towards RSRs, it created a foundational role model for managers. The character of Villa that you saw in some of the videos became very popular as a role model and has set expectations for managers in the field. This helped us get a head start for our 2019 plans because manager training was one of our focus areas for 2019. We set out to upskill these managers and build their selling skills and skills for coaching their teams. Now, because the managers were already familiar with the RSR program, they had a good understanding of the foundational topics and were excited to see some of this everyday selling training targeted just for them. Our second focus area in 2019 was reinforcing RSR training by supplementing it with targeted topics for key selling events like the summer season or the Super Bowl. The manager training included 4 15-minute modules on the topics that you see here. These modules mainly focused on 2 real-life questions. How does manager selling differ from RSR selling? And secondly, what do managers need to do to perform better and coach their teams? These 2 questions primarily drove the content of the what and how in all the 4 modules. We focused on what was keeping the managers up at night. I mean, literally. Amanda, I'm just going to ask you to play the video here. Thank you.
What a nightmare.
This is by far my most favorite video of the series. For managers too, as in the previous years, we provided job aids that highlighted key takeaways, and these were provided as digital workbooks accessible on their iPads. What we tried to do in this training was to incorporate realistic challenges that managers faced and the conversations and situations they could relate to. By showing how the manager characters responded to these challenges and upskilled, we made the stories impactful. It was truly exciting to build out these characters through their dialogues and quirks. We enjoyed the whole creative process. It was almost like creating a Netflix series for us. Using the frameworks and models, we simplified selling, and we were slowly starting to see some of the impact in the field too, with managers understanding that selling didn't have to be just another thing that they did, that it could truly be a part of their everyday. Now, Kathy will walk us through the second focus area that we had for 2019, which is the reinforcement training for RSRs.
Thank you, Antra. So we had a lot of fun with the 2019 reinforcement training for RSRs. What we did was we created 2 what we like to call special edition modules around summer selling and Super Bowl. So the content of the new modules centered on the practical application of the concepts that they learned the year before in the basic training. The special edition modules enabled them to have an opportunity to apply those selling skills to our high volume selling seasons, which of course is summertime and Super Bowl. Here again, you can see on this slide the development of the characters. beautiful graphics. Jordan, he loves to ride his motorcycle. He likes to hang out in the park with his friends. And Willa, our manager character, she is like our barbecue aficionado expert. You'll see Willa with a spatula in her hand in a lot of the videos here. And she's having a Super Bowl themed team meeting with all of her folks. A key highlight of the Super Bowl module is what we did with rewards and recognition of actual employees. So we had some guest appearances here. Our senior leaderships thought it would be really cool if the Super Bowl module, if we used it to recognize some of our top selling RSR and frontline leaders from across the country. So what we did was we took actual pictures of those employees and we turned them into a cartoon character, which had a remarkable resemblance to them, right down to the actual tattoos on Bill's arm on the left there. We got quite a bit of feedback from Bill until we had those tattoos right, I have to tell you. It was really fun. I mean, secretly, who doesn't want to be a cartoon character, right? So Antra's got a little clip here for us of John and Bill, our characters, sharing some of their best practices with Jordan, and we'll take a peek at what that video looks like.
That you whistling in there, Bill?
Yeah, sure is. Hey, how's it going?
Good, thanks. I should have known that was you. You're always singing, whistling, and having fun. I guess being the Ring of Honor winner last year can do that to you.
Well, I'm not going to say that it wasn't a really amazing experience, but you know, I think I just naturally have a pretty good sense of humor. I like to joke around, have fun at work, and with my customers. It's my way of building relationships. You know, this time of year is really important to the business. If you can get off to a fast start and win the Super Bowl season, you can have a good chance at being a Ring of Honor winner too.
Ha! Maybe even give you a little competition.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, John. We were just talking about selling for Super Bowl. Since you're in that Ring of Honor club too, maybe you have a few tips for me.
I think the best advice I can give is start now.
I love that one. Thanks, Antra. So the other thing we did with the Super Bowl module was to highlight the key takeaways. Instead of using job aids, this time we created posters. Beautiful artwork on the posters. These were displayed in break rooms. We looped them on TV screens in our break rooms all across the country. And the posters featured John and Bill, of course, our Super Bowl heroes, with a simple 3-step play that they could remember, right? Get in early, own the perimeter, perfect display. It's simple for people to remember and execute. And we also blew the posters up and we framed them and we had all of our senior leaders sign them and we sent them to Bill and John's home as an additional recognition, which they really liked it. We had, like I said, we had a lot of fun with that one. So also I would tell you in 2019, we saw a shift in how our target audience was starting to approach the Everyday Selling program. And the shift was clearly starting to move from push to pull. People were starting to really talk about it. Things in the field on Yammer, that's like our social media platform out there. We started seeing some things like hashtag everyday selling and hashtag let's go sell something out there. We were getting emails with appreciation. It was contagious, and that really set us up for a clear path to build that momentum into 2020. So in 2020, you know, we felt like we did a really good job in 2018 and 2019, creating this really strong foundation. And by 2020, you know, we had this pull from the organization and we had recognition from outside the organization as well. So this year, we shifted that focus more to trying to embed the learning right into their workflow, which was something very new for us, and also increasing our performance support tools out there. Our goal here was to keep it simple. We didn't want to add any new software or spend a bunch of money on technology, right? So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we did. But before we do that, I'd like to hear from you all. If we could maybe use the chat here And what kind of strategies or formats, we saw earlier that a lot of you have been doing some performance support and embedding in the workflow. So let's hear from all of you and see if we can all learn something on some things that you've been doing to incorporate flow of work and performance support into your organization. Podcasts, that's a good one. Anybody else?
Kathy, we can use that. We can have one of our characters do a podcast maybe in their voice.
One of the
That would be
characters'
fun.
secret part-time, gigs, right? Podcast.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. It absolutely could be a lot of fun. Anybody else? We've only got one person. Here we go. Weekly refresher. What do we got here? Micro learning videos of software. That's a good one. Telephone coaching. That's a different one too.
Yeah.
Inline help and context in the user interface. Bite-sized video topics. Digicards, like postcards. Oh, that's really creative. I like that one.
Yeah, maybe like sort of like a text message or something that's delivered
with inside of a little postcard. We could have fun with that.
Oh yeah.
Virtual mentoring.
Aren't we all doing a lot of virtual stuff these days?
Oh man, yeah, we are. Best practices, gamification, learning boosters. Definitely, this is the way we need to look towards in the future with, this embedding in the flow of work and finding creative ways to provide performance support. Engaging and qualified and certified facilitators. That's a little challenge. Learning roadmaps, daily leadership tips. Lots of good tips there. Love it. Thank you all for sharing. I appreciate it. Hopefully everybody picked up a few things that you might be able to use too.
Yeah, great.
So one of the approaches that we took is we took a look at what are some of the tools and processes that people are already using. So our RSRs and our frontline managers have this app on their mobile device, which is key to providing critical information they need around products, maybe new products coming out or ads, sale items, monthly focus areas. And it's something that people were very dependent on and use quite often. So what we did was we thought to ourselves, well, doesn't it make sense to find ways to tie our everyday selling tips in our characters right into this tool during key selling season? So imagine I open up my app to learn about, one of the upcoming promotions. Here you see like Hormel chili and Fritos. So I open up my app to learn about that promotion. And there's one of our everyday selling characters giving me some tips that I can use to sell that in to one of my customers. It was really simple. It was turnkey. We didn't do it all the time. They kind of popped in and they popped out, and it really grabbed people's attention. And I love what somebody said earlier about that digital postcard. So we took a different approach from the video spin, and we decided to go with cartoon strips. And this picture here shows 3 of the frames from our summer cartoon strip here. And so the concept, again, let's keep it really simple, provide some very focused key tips, make it fun. So we try to stick with always like a 3-tip thing. This cartoon strip you can see in the center there, one of my favorite pictures is kind of our fun-loving RSR Chris. He's floating on the pink flamingo in the pool there. He's reinforcing that fun acronym that you saw earlier. On the right there, we've got our zone manager. We've introduced a new character here who is actually owns the strategy for the entire zone, giving those 3 tips to win the summer out there. Also, instead of going with the job aids for this summer video, we decided to create an everyday selling poster, similar as what we did for the Super Bowl module. And you can just see here the beautiful graphics and the color. It just screams summer. Some really important tips down at the bottom. We did a lot of character development through this too, showing our characters doing their favorite summer activities. Down on the bottom, I told you Willow would love to barbecue. She's got some friends over for a barbecue. Ronnie, one of our characters, has this gorgeous patio with the string lights, and he has all of his friends over for barbecue. So continuing to just develop those characters and make things feel real and realistic was one of our goals with that summer program. So in addition to the reinforcement and the cartoon strips in 2020, we wanted to build on that everyday selling for managers. So some of the things we did there is we incorporated what we call everyday selling in action guides that our new managers could use to learn and apply their everyday selling skills during the onboarding program that they went through with a training coach. And then that's what you see on the left there. That was it was a digital tool that they could use to practically apply during their onboarding. But we also followed that up with a 3-hour instructor-led session. And that session was very little teaching, it was application. It had a bit of a case study in there that they had to solve together in groups. We had a fishbowl, pop in and out. You've got 2 minutes, pick up where the last person left off, and we would role play with using Willa, our manager. And it was really fun. People loved it. It went over so well. We designed it for new managers, but we had a huge pull from the organization to also use that instructor-led training as a refresher for managers that were in role. So that seemed like a really good strategy, and things were kind of clicking along okay until, of course, COVID hit. I'm sure, like you all, we've had a lot of great learnings of how to do things differently, how to pivot this last half of the year. And some of that has really influenced our approach for 2021. And Blaine, I'm going to turn it over to him in a moment to kind of share that strategy for 2021. But before we do, I would really love to hear from you all again, if we want to pop open that chat again and have you all tell us a little bit about what are some of the things, innovative learning strategies that you all have had to implement and pivot due to COVID this year.
You've all been there. We've been there and we've been on that journey. So we'd love to hear some of the things you guys are doing.
I'm sure we're going to hear virtual in there. We flipped a lot of our content to virtual this year. Classroom, webinar.
Webinar, of course.
Of course. Spark, quick hit refreshers, Vidyard. I've not heard of Vidyard.
Blended learning.
Virtual. A fun thing that we did too is, we created some safety videos. We had a request from our team to come up with some safety videos for our frontline leaders. And of course, we used our everyday selling characters for that. We had, I think, 4 or 5 COVID videos out there that were about 3 minutes in length that we had these characters pop on and show you everything from how to sanitize your truck and what social distancing meant in a store. So we had some fun with that too.
We sure did. And what's fun is the all of the character development that's happened around these, it's allowing us to branch out into some other things, but sort of quote unquote, keep a familiar face.
Virtual exchange rooms. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Simulations. We want to kind of dip our toe in the simulation pool next year ourselves. Book summaries, micro-learning videos.
Yeah, some more self-directed type stuff.
Yeah. It's amazing when something hits like that, how quickly all of the training organization has had to change and try new things. Do you have any other suggestions for platforms other than PowerPoint? Maybe we can address that one towards the end.
Yeah, we've had a lot of questions around where the videos were developed, so we'll plan to touch on that at the end.
Perfect, good. Okay, well, I'm going to turn things over to Blaine now. He's got some exciting stuff to share with you around what we did for what our plans are for 2021, and then we'll save some time towards the end to get a little more conversation going around some of those questions.
Awesome, thank you. So hi everybody, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you're at, we're glad you're with us today. So love to share with you a little bit about our 2021 strategy. So as many of you were looking at that, what's coming down the pipeline for next year. So, you know, COVID has made times uncertain, but there are a couple of things that we do know, and that's that we're going to continue to stay focused on the learner, and we're going to look at how we can integrate some of the familiar everyday selling characters and learnings in new and fun ways. So in the next few slides, I'll share with you a couple of those key initiatives and some things we're doing in 2021. So the first one here is one of these methods we're looking at integrating that great content that Kathy and Tara have walked you through is in this idea of an everyday selling week. So at its broadest, Selling Week brings together all of those everyday selling content modules for frontline leaders into this action-packed week that's focused on building sales capability for our frontline leaders as they onboard to the company. So, you know, learners spend roughly 10 to 12 hours total time during this week learning about selling. But the cool thing is that this brings all of those 4 videos. You can see the modules here in the first 4 boxes, brings all of those 4 everyday selling videos into this week. We've also, you'll notice here along the bottom, there's 3 group sessions and then assignments. So the assignments are really fun, and I'll talk about those in just a second, but those are all captured and guided by this by this workbook. So that workbook helps guide folks through their individual assignments, through the peer learning activities. And then one thing that's new for us, and some of you may be a little further along in this journey than we are, but one thing that's, we start out and end with an assessment. So I wanted to talk through a couple of the key unlocks, if you will, that we've had from this. And so the first one is really how we utilize our instructors. So, you know, COVID has obviously shifted this a little bit, but a big takeaway for us is really utilizing our instructors at the most critical time. So it's not just one chunk of time that could easily be forgotten, but now we're getting people more training over time. So, and giving folks the time they need to process that. So it gives them a chance to really apply that. And that's what I think is great about this Everyday Selling Week. So I mentioned just briefly the assessments. So what'll be really interesting here, and I think a really key unlock for us, is this opportunity to have folks rate themselves at the beginning on how comfortable they feel selling, and you know, some concepts there. And then at the end, they also get a chance to reevaluate how they've progressed through the week. So I think it's, you know, gives us some insight not only to how we can improve, but I think it's really impactful for those learners as well, to really see how they've progressed. Because, you know, I hopefully you got throughout this presentation where, you know, selling can be fun. So we don't want it, you know, just to be another thing to do. All right, I wanted to talk about fun activities. So I won't talk about all of them, but one I did want to highlight is in building customer relationships, you know, we wanted to help people understand the importance there. So rather than recycling, you know, a role play, and which can be really tough if somebody's new to the company and isn't really familiar with the business yet, we took a little bit of a different approach. So imagine this. So you have 2 minutes to get to know your partner. And then after that 2-minute conversation, you're going to plan their dream vacation, but you can't say words like vacation, trip, you know, things like that. So kind of like the game Taboo, if you've ever played that. So after this quick meeting, so, you know, you're paired with a partner, you and your partner have 2 minutes, then you separate. You have some time to plan this dream vacation for the other person. So once you're done with that, you come back together and you get to talk about that vacation. How'd you do? Did you plan a good vacation that aligned with that person's needs and wants? You know, did you say that you're going to pack a fantasy book for them, and really they aren't into fantasy? Maybe they're into historical fiction, you know, whatever that looks like. So with that, you know, that all relates back to this idea of how important it is to build relationships with our customers and really to understand them. But, you know, instead of just that old, role play, we really brought in this fun game. All right. So in addition to that, I mentioned some other activities. We also do, we bring in experiential learning, like a store walk, really analyzing business results, and then, of course, the peer learning component. So as you may have mentioned, and probably many of you are familiar with this, but before we dive in, I wanted to pause for just a second and talk about the concept of spaced learning. So which is really not only, I think, playing a role in Everyday Selling Week, but some of the other strategies we're looking at for 2021. And so for those of you who may not be familiar with spaced learning or the term spaced learning, it's really centered on providing experiences over a period of time with opportunities in between for learners to apply what they've learned. So, whatever the term is that you use, I think this is probably something that many of us are already doing or perhaps already striving to do. So with Selling Week, I'm sure you saw it, we tried to bring in that concept to life. So really this idea for our, of having those interactions with an instructor over time, but yet having activities that I'm doing on my own to help me apply that. So for our organization, this is a pretty big departure from our traditional way of doing things. So traditionally, we've really focused on these we call them one-time learning events that are heavily, 3, 4, 5, 6, hours, multiple days, that are instructor-led, but post that, there's not a lot of additional opportunities for them to kind of reinforce that learning. So we're really excited for Selling Week in that regard. So we can just food for thought, as you think about this and our journey that we've gone through, is how many of your trainings really rely on those like single learning events? So love to hear from you in the chat on what your experience has been there. So wherever you are in your journey, we really think this idea is going to make a big difference for our learners, and we're excited to see as we apply it more how it goes in 2021 for us. All right, let's take a look at the advanced selling training, which is the second thing I wanted to, or the second and final thing I wanted to share with you all today. So really little text over here on the left, but the key takeaway here that I wanted to talk is as the everyday selling concept has really taken root in our organization, we have a lot of pull from learners to really go to the next level, right? So now that I've got the foundational, like what's the next step as a frontline leader, where can I go to get to continue to build my selling skills? So because of this pull, we're looking at creating an advanced selling training for our frontline roles that really builds on what they've learned in onboarding through things like Selling Week, through the videos, and through those foundational content that we've really set the stage for. So this training is basically, we're looking at making its 2 parts. So there'll be a self-serve guide workbook, probably in RISE, Articulate RISE, for those of you who are familiar with it. And then we'll focus on really this elevated, engaging experience afterwards that really focuses on like more of that application. So a couple of key things here for us is what I think will really make this really impactful for us is, we're building on this history and the heritage of everyday selling. So as you can see, we kept that framework. You can kind of see here on the left, we've kept the framework from the videos that's been so successful. And as we've developed this training, we have a lot of history here with the characters, and that has happened, and we want it to feel familiar. So in this series, we'll take characters like Willa, who tends to be our most popular character, and others, and we'll get a chance to see them, perhaps see them continue to grow in their skills and advance in their ability to sell. So I talked spaced learning here, that that's also what we're looking at here by providing that self-serve content to help them get some of those more basic advanced selling topics, and then really bringing that engaging experience where we'll really focus on that practical application piece. And post that, really we're looking at, we also have a degree that we use internally. So we're looking at also providing additional opportunities after for folks to continue their learning. Well, maybe you've done something like this before, but I think it's a real differentiator here because that foundation that we've built up with this everyday series and characters, I'm really excited because I think really people will be really engaged in what the future looks like. And as we close out the presentation, I wanted to close by summarizing a few of the key things that have really helped us move the needle. So one of those is really just, and not to hit on a thing again, but really the relatable characters. you know, we all have our likes, our dislikes, our quirkiness, whatever that is. And the fact that we're bringing some of those in and making it feel like a real story really, I think, makes this what makes the Everyday Silly series fun for and engaging for people, and really make it stick. So a big thing along this journey for us has been that leadership support, just to get people into it. I think once people engage, they love the content, connect with the characters, and really go from there. So really, you know, we tried to focus on making it application based, keeping it real, progressively building. You know, this is something that we've started growing a long time. Yeah, well, in COVID days, a long time ago. And then really just, you know, as we continue our journey, we're going to build off of that heritage. So we know Everyday Selling has really made a big difference for our organization, and really showed our folks that selling can be fun. And we're glad that we could share this journey with you today. And now we're going to go ahead and flip over to our Q&A portion of this, and we'll take your questions, and we'll answer as many as we can until top of the hour. And I did want to start off, I know we've seen a couple of questions in the chat about the actual video development. Antara, I don't know, Kathy, Antara, I don't know if you want to talk the actual, a little bit of the details there.
Sure. Amanda, can you read the question?
Well, there were several questions that came through in the chat before, I think is what Blaine is referring to regarding how you created the videos, if it was a vendor or Frito-Lay made them, or if something like this could be done in some other application, how it all came to be technically.
Sure, I can take part of that, Antra, too. So it was definitely a partnership between MPS and Frito-Lay. I worked with field folks out there and wrote scripts. Antra helped me with that. But I mean, the stories are real life stories that happened to people or challenges that they were facing. So the words, the scripts came directly from our folks. As Antra mentioned earlier, all of those scenes were recreated. The one grocery store scene in there is actually the grocery store that I shop at. I took all of the pictures of it, sent it to Antra. She sent it to her team in India, and literally it's like, I feel like I'm walking into my grocery store when I see that. That's how realistic things were. So Antra, if you want to talk a little bit more about, you know, timing or, you know, the Vyond tools, that's was her part there, but it really was a partnership.
Thanks, Kathy. Sure. So like Kathy mentioned, we used Vyond as a tool mainly for the characters. But if you noticed in the videos, the clothes they were wearing had the Frito-Lay logo, the various product images and the backgrounds in the store. Those were all created outside the tool and then imported into it. So it was a combination of different tools that we used. And like Kathy mentioned, using reference photographs to really illustrate those very fine details, and our team is really great at doing that and bringing out, you know, really through the reference photos whatever is required in the scene. From a timeline perspective, each video took about 2 months or so. Some of them we were really on a very short timeline, like the Super Bowl video and the summer selling one, and we did that in even lesser than that time.
And was there some interaction built into any of the videos?
There was a semblance of an interaction. So we had questions posed during the videos, and then we gave instructions to pause the video. And that was mainly done because the videos were shown in district meetings where there was a large group attending. So they played a part of the video, and when they saw that instruction, the question was posed and they saw the instruction to pause the video. So then at that specific time, they used to pause the videos and discuss the various responses from within the room. And then when they started the video again, they could see what the right answer was. In fact, one of the modules, the 4th modules for RSR, was completely scripted this way. So, and we were recapping all of the concepts that we taught in the previous 4 videos. So the entire video was like a competition. And I believe, Kathy, you can add more, but if I remember right, you said that it became very competitive in the district meeting.
We're a very competitive group of folks out there. I don't care if you're vying for a chocolate bar or a new hat, people want to win the prize. So they had a lot of fun with that.
This next question is kind of a hybrid. I've got a couple of people asking if you had more, if there was a blended approach to this. I know that you had mentioned before some digital workbooks. Taryn specifically was wondering, outside of the app, what other ways were you supporting learning in the workflow?
So digital workbooks were created in Rise, and that's where we housed the videos, the special edition videos would appear there. Our folks are equipped with, our managers have iPads out in the market. Our RSRs have iPhones, so they were able to access everything from an iPad. All of the job aids and the everyday selling and action guides were also loaded in that digital workbook as well.
Gotcha. I'm going to pop to this. Oh, go ahead.
Diane has an interesting question. What training modality do you recommend for highly changing content? Videos are useful for static content that doesn't change, but it is not useful for content that changes frequently. So Diane, you could use something like a Rise workbook, which Kathy just mentioned, where you can change and publish the content very quickly. You can also leverage PDFs or interactive PDFs where your ability to update content is very quick and easy. So those are the couple of tools that come to mind.
Yeah, one other I would just chime in too is, in addition here, we do something internally on our web pages to create this idea of a performance support tool. Internally, we call it My Everyday. And that allows, folks to get in, we custom, we do some customization based on their role. They can search through content, and, that may be another avenue to pursue, because we I'm sure many of us on the call do have some content that changes, and, things like Rise and web pages do create a nice avenue that you can fairly easily update as needed.
Excellent. I want to pop this question from Steve, always relevant in training. Wondering if you could describe how you measured the success of this series.
That, Steve, is a very good question, and something that, quite frankly, we have not always been great at, especially when it comes to sales training, because sales training is really subjective to a lot of different measures, I'm sure, as you're aware. With our advanced selling, we will have our the Everyday Selling Week, we'll have some surveying at the front, some surveying at the back, but really, other than feedback from the field, measuring the number of participants who have taken it, we didn't do any hard measurement on, did Johnny's sales improve over after he watched a video. We did not get into that level of measurement out there. But that's a bit of a puzzle piece that we have yet to crack open.
We're still cracking that nut, I'm sure, as many of you are.
Yes.
And let me squeeze this one last one in here from Nikki, who wants to know, how did you get leadership buy-in for this?
Well, we're a sales organization, and I'll tell you what, when our senior leaders hear about sales training, or our managers, they get pretty excited about it. They realized that the power of, if you just think for one moment, one of our selling points is 20,000 RSRs out there, and we know that they're talking to their store managers every day about simple things like, did you watch that football game last night? Or, hey, Doritos are going to go on sale next week. Where would you like me to put the display? Or, I've got some new cookies. Where do you want them? They were having conversations like that. And when you approach a senior leader and say, think if you had the opportunity to train these people quickly in the moment, and if each one of those 20,000 people could take one conversation a week and turn it into a selling moment, how powerful that would be for the organization. And that message really resonated with them and allowed us to get their support and get things kicked off.
Well, thank you for that, Andrea, Kathy, Blaine. It has been an awesome hour. Man, this program is pretty miraculous. I love it. And it was great hearing all of the ins and outs that your team has gone through to get it accomplished and how it's been working. So I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to be here with us and our audience.
Thanks, everyone. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Glad you could join us.
All right, everyone, if you'd like to catch some upcoming events, hopefully as great as this one, check out trainingindustry.com/webinars. Of course, all of our events do pre-qualify you for 1 credit hour by ISPI, SHRM, HRCI, and CPTM. What is CPTM? It's a Certified Professional and Training Management Program. If you're looking to up your personal and professional game by linking your learning initiatives to your organizational goals, this is the program for you. Check out our website for more information and join one of our virtual practicums. Of course, if you are looking for a virtual event, one-day event, completely free, coming up November 18th, join us for our Training Industry Leader Talks. Several speakers gathered together to discuss agile content development. Find more information on our website. Of course, one last time, Andrea, Kathy, Blaine, thank you so much for being here. And of course, thanks to MPS Interactive Systems for sponsoring today. And thanks to all of you for attending. Until we see you back here next time, enjoy it out there.